You're listening to The Paul Higgins Show, where ambitious tech consultants come to unlock their potential. After 18 years as a global leader, I launched several businesses, culminating in a successful exit. I'm sharing what I learned, plus what's working now from mentoring tech consultants. You will hear leaders within our industry to help you build a business you love that allows you to do what you want. If you are looking for immediate cash flow wins to fuel your growth, go to our free ebook at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap. Are you struggling to close deals because you're too focused on your services instead of your client's business needs? Hi, it's Paul here, and it's just you and I today. Welcome to the Paul Higgins Show. Today we'll be diving into a critical topic for every tech consultant, understanding profit and businesses from their owner's perspective. So picture this. You're in a meeting with a potential client, excitedly explaining how the bells and whistles of your SaaS solution works, but you notice their eyes glazing over. Sound familiar? This exact scenario happened to a Zoho partner I'm mentoring. They came from the industry they sell to, but from a technical capacity. Yes, they'd worked with sales, but they hadn't directly worked in sales. The companies they're targeting have invested heavily in cost cutting, but the real issue is revenue. So, cost out operations, they've done a brilliant job, but really they hadn't matured to have a sales process and a system like they did in operations. My client was so eager to help. He left his company to start this business, but he also wanted, in this specific meeting, to dive straight into selling them a service and custom CRM built on Zoho. His enthusiasm was fantastic. But he pitched to the company and they pushed back on the price of Zoho versus their incumbent, which in this case was paper and Google Sheets, which is the case in a lot of situations. We can all see where this is headed, right? It was like why HubSpot free was better than Zoho, and it was completely missing the point. And it reminded me of a valuable lesson I learned from my Coca-Cola days, which I conveyed to him, and I want to share it with you. I was looking after Australia's second largest fast food chain when they got wind of the number one chain's pricing and wanted the same deal. In short, the invoice had the net price on it. A big lesson. Yeah, we learnt the hard way. But, based on volume and all, the pricing was pretty accurate because the largest had a lot more stores than the second. But, it put us in a very difficult situation. So I reached out to a Stanford professor who'd worked with me before and asked for some advice. And he brutally asked me this question: do you know how they make money? And I said, sort of, kind of, and I was backtracking. But the truth was I didn't. I was so focused on selling soft drinks that I didn't look at the bigger picture. To cut a long story short, I asked the client how much profit they wanted to make over the next 3 years, not just for beverages, but for all of their business. And I said, if I could deliver that, would they accept that their Coca-Cola pricing was fair based on volume, which had already shown the facts to them? We mined all their transactional data with help from another fantastic expert within the Coke system, and we found 1.5 times more profit potential than they needed or they'd forecast for those 3 years. And this was back in 2001, so it was sort of pioneering days. And if you think of AI and use of data and everything that's very topical today, in a way we were doing that back then. So what was the lesson? It's not about your service, it's about their business. So let's break it down into 3 key areas. 1 was thinking like a business owner. 2 was understanding their profit drivers. And 3, recognizing they know the problem. So in this case, it was a lack of revenue. We've covered the first 2 in the Coca-Cola example, but for the third point, remember that business owners don't make decisions in a vacuum. They're juggling multiple factors: short versus long-term gains, risk versus reward, and resource allocation. When presenting your solution, frame it in the terms of their decision-making criteria. How will it impact their cash flow in the short term? What's the long-term ROI? How will it affect their team's workload? Now, you might be thinking, Paul, this all sounds great, but how do I actually implement this, right? And it's a very good question. And I want to give you 3 practical tips to do that. Number 1, do your homework. Find a mentor in your industry and get them to show you exactly how a P&L works for that particular business owner. You know how your P&L works, but do you really understand theirs? You've got to get into their world. And my client went to an old boss who'd now left the industry, but was at a more senior level, and he was able to help him go through that, which has helped enormously, not just in this case, but in all sales that he's done moving forward. So that's number one, do your homework. Number two, ask the right questions. Start your meetings by inquiring about their business goals, their challenges, and their decision-making process as it relates to their total business, right? Not just your specific service. And if you remember the Tech Collective, search for the sales call playbook in the knowledge base, where I'll give you the whole structure on how to set up sales calls. So one, do your homework. Two, ask the right questions. And number three is tailor your pitch. Present your solution in terms of how it addresses their specific business needs and contributes to their bottom line. Business owners seek partners who understand their world, not just vendors pushing a service, right? And I know I certainly hear this a lot from Salesforce partners and sometimes NetSuite partners, that the vendor just pushes them into a service, and they're so eager to get their commission and get their KPIs, which I understand because that's the way that those businesses work, that it's not really the best solution for a particular company. So before we wrap up, ask yourself, how might your approach to client meetings change if you put yourself in the business owner's shoes? It has undoubtedly helped my Zoho partner to win more deals and, more importantly, win them quicker, right? Because the longer it takes to do a deal, it limits your ability to scale. If you found this useful, why not share it with a fellow tech consultant who could benefit? And if you're looking for more insights like this, check out the Tech Consultants Collective at paulhigginsmentoring.com/TC. The link will be in the show notes. I'd love to get your feedback on this podcast. Head to paulhigginsmentoring.com/feedback. Fill in a couple of questions and you'll get a gift I know you'll enjoy. Until next time, keep thinking like a business owner, and remember, your success is directly tied to your client's success. Time for action. Let me know what you implemented from the show. I promise to respond. Plus, get the Tech Consultants Roadmap at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap.